And then the devotee, you know what that poisonous person or devotee next says? But. And then out comes the poison. But he's like this, and like that, and like something else. And it may even be presented with a smiling face. As they say, you know, an expert diplomat can tell you to go to hell in such a way you look forward to the journey. Yeah. With a smile and, you know, kind of talk. And, you know, it's very easy to be affected by that. And the way you know, the way you'll really know if you have been affected. Now, you might think that people can say what they like, it won't affect me. Riti. Yeah, because your heart, your mind got poisoned, so you just see the person, and then you spontaneously react that, no, it's a bad person. Yeah, so we got to be careful with bad association, because it can poison our hearts. And, you know, Srila Rupa Goswami, one of our great acharyas, he says some extremely strong things. And don't worry if they, you know, that maybe they'll feel offended if you just walk away from them. But just get away. Don't hear it. But rather try to find devotees who are, you know, have a nice mood and they appreciate Krishna consciousness and Krishna and other devotees. That sort of devotee we want to associate with. And that sort of devotee we want to become, actually. Yes. And not a complainer. Yeah. Prabhupada would say that you don't want to be like a fly. Flies are attracted to dirt. I remember the first time I went to India in 1976, and, you know, they had these fierce mosquitoes in Mayapur, and you couldn't avoid getting bitten by them, and so they bite you, and it would turn into a little lump, and then the lump would sort of open up, and you'd have a few small little open wounds, which would form scabs, like little scabs. And the flies would come and eat the scabs. Am I upsetting your stomachs? Maybe I shouldn't have even mentioned that. And you could see them in front of your eyes, eating the scab. And the scab was gone like in 5 seconds. It was amazing. Because that's their taste. They like it. They like it. Like, you know, the pigs in India, they run around in public, a lot of them, and they're famous or infamous because they're very attracted to eating excrement. You understand excrement? You do? Wow. Okay. Or shall we just say stool? Yeah. And I've seen that, you know, still in India, in the villages, some of the villages, I mean, it's being reduced now, but particularly going back to when I was, the earlier days when I was there, like 30 years ago or 40 years ago or whatever. But each village would have a men's field and a ladies' field. And particularly early in the morning, they would go and, what would they do? Anyway, you know what they would do, don't you? That's what they do out in the fields. Seriously. And it was just normal. They crouch down with each other and just, oh, how are you doing? Yeah, it wasn't like a private thing. So, but the pigs, I saw on a few occasions, this is a good one, you'll like this, a few occasions the pigs on the other side of the field, they, and I saw on a few occasions, these pigs are racing flat out. They would definitely get gold medals in the Paris Olympics. Just really flat out to be the first. And I saw on a few occasions they knock people over. And not just over, but actually knock them flying. So, we don't want to be like flies attracted to stool. Rather, we want to be like, Prabhupada would say, like honey bees, attracted to honey, sweetness. Because, if you get into it, if you listen to talk about Krishna, pastimes of Krishna, qualities of Krishna, if you listen carefully to these things, then you find if you become absorbed, that you start feeling, like very good. All your problems just sort of dissolve and they're just suddenly, wow, they're just not there any longer. And you get absorbed and you feel in your heart and just throughout your whole system, you feel very good, wonderful, because it's like nectar. It's actually like nectar. But we have to cultivate a taste for it. Yes, and when you cultivate a taste for it, and when you get a taste, then you never want them to stop. Like Maharaj Parikshit with Shukadev Goswami, the recitation of the Bhagavatam. Maharaj Parikshit was listening, Shukadev Goswami was speaking, and Maharaj Parikshit became so absorbed, just like overwhelmed completely, that he sat there for 7 days and 7 nights, and he didn't sleep, he didn't eat, he didn't drink, because he was just overwhelmed by the incredible experience of transcendental subject matter. So we should, it's something though we have to cultivate, like the propensity, the tendency to hear, to really hear and listen very carefully. And and then avoid any sort of negativity, because there's something wrong with everyone. Everyone has some faults. There's nobody in this material world who has no faults. But when we talk about devotees, they have some faults. But their good qualities are much more substantial than their faults. So why worry about the faults? Why even take notice of them, actually? Some devotees are a bit eccentric. They do sort of kind of unusual things sometimes. Sometimes you see a devotee, it's the Sunday feast, and he or she is taking, about that much prasadam. And it is physically impossible to eat that much. So what's the person doing? They're going to take it home and store it. And let's hope they don't let it go off, But we have to cultivate it, we have to work on it. How to develop a taste for hearing about Krishna. So devotees who are like that, this is why when we do seminars, when I do seminars, at least put it that way, we go off, sometimes we go up to the Drakensberg, and we spend like 4 days or so, and just having seminars all day, every day. It's really great. So sometimes I tell the devotees, okay, you're going to have prasadam shortly, like lunch, for example. I want you all to sit down with each other and have a Krishna conscious discussion over prasadam. Not just like, a very South African, how are you? There's nothing wrong with asking devotees, how are you? One thing I noticed about Russia is that there's no practice of asking people how they are. Even in India, there's very little actually. In India, they don't, aap kaise hai? It's not very common. And in Russia, I was used to the how are you culture. So when I would meet people, I'd ask how they are. And they would give me like an analysis of how they are. Because they thought I really wanted to know how they are. And it wasn't just a nicety, And I've had the experience here of someone asking me, how am I? And I didn't respond. And they'd say, I'm fine. It means they're reacting to the expected question from me of how are you, which didn't come, but they're programmed to answer. And Prabhupada once was being interviewed by some journalist, and the journalist asked him, in a very superficial way, has South Africanism more than you get in other places? Really? Yeah, it's a fact. Это правда, да? По-русски?
По-разному бывает.
Oh, okay, says it depends. Anyway, okay. So we must cultivate good association and try. And if we get good association, then we can give good association and enrich others' lives, which will also enrich our lives further. And I think this is what our program is here. Oh, there's a bonfire still going. Last time I was here, there was a big bonfire. Anyway, okay, no problem. Yeah, here we go. What do you think of that? And then hopefully the devotee will get drawn into the Krishna conscious discussion. What do you think? Good idea? Yeah, that's really good. You can have, you like it too. You've got a couple of good girls here. What's your name? Condition and be good association. And then our lives and we will become enriched. And now I'm going to ask Adhoksaja Maharaj to address us via his translator, who's a good translator.
I'm not sure.
Я знаю, потому что я понимаю. I know because I understand. Yeah, I can understand basically Russian. So, but he's good. He's quite good. So listen very carefully to what Maharaj says. And when you need your own, you've got a microphone, you've got to speak loud, right? Yeah. Otherwise it's difficult for them. So there you go, devotees. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. So, okay. Давайте.
Thank you very much. Спасибо большое, дорогой Мараш.
Харе Кришна. Я очень счастлив быть здесь, на этом фестивале. Очень счастлив всех вас видеть.
I'm very happy to be here at that festival. I'm very happy to see all of you.
У меня очень хорошее общение в лице Бхакти Чайтаньи Свами Махараджа.
I have a very good association with Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj.
У вас здесь очень гостеприимные и радушные, преданные, которые очень тепло, с открытым сердцем встречают.
And the devotees here are very warm and very welcome.
И очень хорошая tradиция на берегу океана, около костра, петь святые имена, говорить о Кришне.
And you have a good tradition here to sing Hare Krishna at the bank of the ocean, near to bonfire.
Я смотрю на то, что происходит, и мне все больше и больше нравится эта традиция ваша.
I see what happens here, and I like your tradition so much.
И я понял, что, похоже, по возвращению в Россию мы тоже будем разжигать костры.
And I realized what in Russia we will continue your tradition also.
Теперь я буду рассказывать о том, что у вас тут происходит.
I'll speak in Russia what happens here.
Океан, костры и много преданных.
Ocean, bonfire, and a lot of devotees.
И у нас костры на берегу океана еще более актуальны.
And in Russia, bonfires near the ocean is important.
Потому что у нас океан холодный.
Because we have a cold ocean.
У нас нужно еще в шубах сидеть и в шапках.
We need to wear warm clothes and hats because it's cold there.
И нужны большие костры.
And we need big bonfires.
Россия холодная страна.
Russia is a cold country,
Но большая.
but big.
На самом деле, все вы очень удачливы, имея возможность говорить о Кришне и петь святые имена.
And all of us are very fortunate because we have opportunity to speak about Krishna and sing kirtan.
Бхакти Чайтанья Махарадж переключил меня в моем сознании на первые годы создания Кришны.
And Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj switched me to the first years in Krishna consciousness.
Когда вспоминал о прасаде, где много чили.
When he remembered about prasadam with lots of chili.
У нас на самом деле в России не любят чили.
Actually, in Russia we dislike chili.
Я помню, я приехал с группой русских преданных в Майпур.
I remember that at some time I arrived to Mayapur with a group of devotees.
Несколько десятков преданных.
Maybe 10, maybe more.
И тогда у нас была парикрама по ряду святых мест в Индии.
And we had parikrama through different places in India.
И это время не было временем фестиваля в Индии. в Майпуре.
It wasn't a festival time in India.
Для западных преданных тоже делают не очень острые блюда во время фестиваля в Майпуре.
When Western devotees come to India, they prepared non-spicy dishes, no spicy prasadam for them.
Но в то время, когда мы приехали, не было фестиваля.
But at that time, it wasn't a festival time.
И я для вдохновения решил преданных сводить в общий холл, общий прасад-холл в Майпуре, чтобы пообедать.
And I invited devotees to Prasadam Hall in Shridham Mayapur.
И я не знал, какой будет там прасад.
And I didn't know what kind of prasadam.
Преданные с большим энтузиазмом расселись.
And devotees came with me and said.
И где-то 5-6 блюд преданно положили на подносы из банановых листьев.
And we had 5 or 6 dishes on our plates.
И там было много чили.
and there was a lot of chili.
И для русских бакт это был подарок.
And for Russian devotees, it was a really a gift.
И когда я понял, что преданные могут не доесть до конца,
And when I realized when they couldn't eat it all,
я сказал преданным, прасад обладает духовной природой,
I said that prasadam has a spiritual nature.
надо доесть.
We have to eat it whole prasadam. We have to eat it to the end.
И преданные пытались выполнить это наставление.
And devotees tried to follow my instruction.
Они тяжело выдыхали,
They had hard breathing.
потом выдыхали.
And after that they breathe in and breathe out.
При этом индийские преданные подъезжали с ведрами.
And during that process, Indian devotees came with new portions of prasadam.
И говорили, one more.
And they said like that.
И преданные, они улыбались.
And the devotees smiled
И говорили спасибо большое.
and said, thank you very much,
Но никто добавку не брал.
but no more.
Они мечтали доесть то, что уже было.
They dreamed to finish their prasadam.
И они пытались даже улыбаться.
And they tried to smile,
Но с каждой ложкой это получалось все хуже и хуже.
but after how to say, after each new spoon with prasadam, it became harder and harder for them.
И скажу честно, что это был последний прием пищи в общем холле.
And frankly speaking, it was our last prasadam in prasadam hall.
Потом преданные организовали просад немножко в другом месте.
After that, we organized prasadam in different place for us, for our group.
Но до сих пор преданные вспоминают этот незабываемый день.
But still, we remember that story.
Я хочу вспомнить эпизод своих первых дней сознания Кришны.
And another story from my first days in Krishna consciousness.
Я помню, в 1992 году я приехал поступать в университет в город Ярославль.
In 1992, I came to Yaroslavl city to how to say to become a student.
И я буквально 1,5 года назад познакомился с сознанием Кришны тогда.
And before that, 1.5 year ago, Maharaj got familiar with Krishna consciousness.
И я еще не жил в храме.
And he didn't live in the temple.
Я тогда не знал, что уйду жить в храм через буквально год.
At that time, he didn't know what in 1 year he will be in the temple.
И я не знал, что это будет как раз Ярославль.
And what it will be Yaroslavl city.
И я помню, что я попал, услышал звуки Маридан, Каратал, и я понял, что идет Харинама из-за угла, еще не видя преданных. Верно, да, в городе Ярославль.
And when he came to Yaroslavl city, he heard mridangas and karatalas, and he realized that a devotee near to this place.
Моя первая Харинама была на Красной площади в Москве.
And my first Harinama was in Red Square in Moscow.
Кто-то слышал о Красной площади в Москве?
Have anyone heard about Red Square in Moscow?
Yes? No? Там Кремль и правительство России.
There are government in Russia.
И тогда было время перестройки. Было новое время в управлении государством.
And it was some kind of a new time for our government.
Демократия и новое правительство.
Democracy. And your government.
И это было уникальное время, и преданные имели возможность спеть святые имена прямо на центральной площади перед Кремлем, перед правительством России.
And it was a unique time when devotees could came to Red Square and sing kirtan right in front of our government.
И преданных, участвующих в той харинаме, было больше, чем сейчас здесь присутствующих вайшнавов.
And at that time there are a lot of devotees there, and even more than here now.
Проходил фестиваль в зале «Турист» в Москве.
And we had festival in tourist place, tourist, how to say?
Holiday resort.
И харинаму вел тогда Аюд Хапати.
And Ayudha Pati sang kirtan.
Бхакти Чайтанья Махарадж наверняка помнит это имя.
I think Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj remember his name.
Это имя Бхакти Бринга Говинда Свами тогда, в то время.
It's the name of Bhakti Bringa Govinda Swami at that time.
И это была очень экстатичная харинама.
And it was ecstatic kirtan.
В Ярославле для меня была вторая харинама.
And in Yaroslavl city I heard
В моей жизни. Да. В моей жизни.
of course I was young and it was easy for me.
Бхакти Чайтанья Махарадж рассказал историю Шри Прабхупаде, как Шри Прабхупада съел несколько подносов утмы.
And Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj said us a story about Srila Prabhupada when he ate lots of plates with upma.
И такой объем был большим исключением для Шри Прабхупады.
And it was exclusion for Srila Prabhupada.
Но для меня такой рацион был естественным режимом дня.
But such amount of prasadam it was usual for me.
Я так каждый день ел.
I used to eat such amount of prasadam every day.
И тогда в России преданные ели примерно такое же количество, молодые вайшнавы.
And at that time in Russia, all of young devotees they ate such amount of prasadam.
Они много проповедовали, много ели.
They preached a lot and they ate a lot.
На самом деле, то время было уникальное.
And it was a unique time.
Преданные выходили и распространяли книги по 7-8 часов каждый день.
Devotees used to distribute books for 7 or 8 hours a day.
А в воскресенье пели харинаму тоже несколько часов.
They sang Harinama on weekends about also 8 hours.
И прямо с улицы приводили людей в храм сознания Кришны.
And new people came right from Harinama in the temple.
И вот я помню, они пригласили меня с этой харинамы в храм.
And I remember they invited me in the temple after Harinama.
В Ярославле здание храма менялось несколько раз.
And in Yaroslavl city, the temple was in different places.
И на тот момент времени храм представлял из себя деревянную маленькую избу.
And at that time, temple in Yaroslavl, Krishna's temple in Yaroslavl was a small
Village.
Деревянный дом, Марыш.
Village, like Izba. Village.
small village,
Oh, wooden.
small wooden house maybe,
Yeah.
Из
small
старого,
wooden house.
из старого дерева.
It was a old tree,
И там была всего лишь одна комната.
and there was only one room,
Она же алтарная,
and that room was altar room also,
просад-холл.
prasad hall also in one room, in the same room,
И она же спальня.
and all of devotees slept in that room also,
И была одна маленькая кухня.
and one kitchen,
И по кухне, как это неудивительно, постоянно бегала какая-то крыса.
and in the kitchen a rat lived,
И преданные омывались еще на улице и зимой, и летом.
and devotees took bath outside of this building on the air,
У нас зимой,
even in summer and winter also.
у нас зимой очень холодно.
When it's quite cold in winter in Russia,
Минус 10, минус 20.
-10, -20, below zero,
Лежит снег.
snow everywhere.
Здесь в Африке такой температуры не бывает.
It's impossible to face this temperature here,
Вода превращается в лед.
and water is frozen.
И когда преданные выливали на себя воду зимой, часто гамча, она просто застывала и превращалась в ледышку.
And when devotees, how to say, threw out a pot with water on their hands, their gamcha became frozen.
Она становилась как деревяшка,
It's like wood. It became like wood
как пластик.
or plastic.
И преданные счастливые возвращались обратно в храм.
And the happy devotee came back to the temple.
В 90-е годы так все омывались на улице.
And in 90s, each of devotees have such kind of bath.
Некоторые в храме, но все равно холодной водой.
Some of them took bath inside the temple, but also with cold water, even
Well-
in winter.
Так вот, когда я приехал с Харинамой в храм в Ярославле в тот день,
And when I came in the temple with Harinama at the day,
и предложили вкусить просаду.
they offered prasadam.
Я был очень счастлив.
I was happy,
И я не знал, что мне дадут на просад.
and I didn't know what kind of prasadam.
Преданные сидели по кругу все.
They sat in their circle,
И раздатчик ходил и по одному блюду раздавал всем участникам.
and one devotee distributed the prasadam for all.
И тогда, в те годы, преданные, они часто следовали за индийскими вайшнавами, и в некоторых блюдах было много перца, острого, очень сильный перец.
And at that time, devotees in Russia, they followed to Indian culture, and they put a lot of pepper in prasadam, and some of the dishes was so hot,
И я помню, раздали рис,
and they put rice.
я попросил, причем раздатчик, он постоянно предлагал добавку сразу.
And one devotee who distributed prasadam, he offered new portions for each of devotee.
И по моей просьбе он положил целую гору риса.
And by my request, he gave me a big portion of rice.
потом гору сабджи,
and a big portion of sabji.
а потом раздатчик стал разносить дал.
And after that dal.
И я не знал тогда, что такое дал.
And I didn't know what does it mean, what dal is it.
Но я внимательно наблюдал, сколько брали этого дала другие вайшнавы.
But I saw the portions of dal for other devotees,
И они брали совсем чуть-чуть.
and they took a little.
И я думал, они что, смеются, так мало берут этого вкусного блюда.
And I was surprised what they took too little portions of dal.
И потом раздатчик подошел ко мне.
And then this prasadam distributor came to me,
И стал накладывать.
and he gave me dal,
Он положил чуть-чуть.
a little.
Я посмотрел на него непонимающим взглядом.
I was surprised and I looked at him.
Он сказал, еще?
He asked me more.
Я говорю, конечно.
Sure.
Он положил второй половник,
He gave me one more,
потом третий.
then third one.
При виде этой картины преданные перестали есть.
And all of devotees in their circle, they looked at me
Потому что они знали, сколько там чили.
because they knew how much chili in that dal.
А я не знал.
But I didn't know.
Итак, 7 половников.
And 7 portions of dal I have.
И затем раздатчик сам сжалился надо мной.
And after that, prasadam distributor
Сжалился надо мной, как это, ну, что он сделал?
Пожалел меня. Сам пожалел меня.
he felt compassion for me.
И он сказал, хватит с тебя.
He said, "That's enough."
И затем преданные даже не возобновили вкушение просада, они стали смотреть на меня.
And after that, devotees who sat near to me, they continue watching at me.
И я взял первую ложку этого дала.
And I took the first spoon of dal.
И тут я понял, в какую засаду я попал.
And then I realized what happened.
Я понял, чего мне положили.
I realized how much chili in that dal.
И рядом со мной сидел главный пуджари храма.
And the main pujari was next to me.
И он спокойным голосом сказал, просад выбрасывать нельзя.
And he said, you can't throw out prasadam.
Сказал, надо все съесть.
You have to eat that all.
И я помню, что я ел дольше всех этот дал.
And I remember what prasadam time, time for tasting this prasadam, it took so long.
Но так или иначе я съел это блюдо со слезами на глазах. Да, я все-таки съел до конца это блюдо.
And finally I finished it.
И это были первые годы.
And it was my first days in Krishna consciousness.
Потом я сам пришел жить в Ярославский храм.
After that I went to the temple for full time.
На самом деле, еще раз хочу подчеркнуть, все вайшнавы по-настоящему очень удачливы, потому что имеют возможность воспевать святые имена и служить Кришне.
And I want to emphasize one more time what all of you are very fortunate because you have opportunity to sing kirtan and
Заниматься служением Кришне.
Serve to Krishna.
В 11 песне Шримад Бхагаватам говорится:
11 canto of Srimad Bhagavatam says,
«Ягьяк санкиртна праяих яжантихи сумет хасах». Самые удачливые люди присоединяются к этому процессу, совместному пению святых имен.
the most fortunate people join to the process of congregational chanting of holy names.
Слово «мет хасах» указывает на разум.
Medasaf means intelligence.
Приставка «су» усиливает значение, и это слово означает «самые разумные».
so makes some emphasis, and so Medasakha means the most intelligent.
И 500 лет назад Господь Чайтанья Махапрабху пел Святое Имя и вовлекал в этот процесс окружающих людей.
And 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya sang holy names, and he invited people to take part in that process.
Когда Господь Чайтанья Махапрабху вместе со своим слугой шел через лес Джариканды,
When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with one of his servants went through Jarikanda forest,
он вдохновлял петь святые имена даже животных.
He engaged in chanting of holy names, even animals.
И львы и лани, они проливали слезы любви к Богу, когда пели святое имя.
And even lions and deers, they cried during chanting holy names.
И обычно тигры или львы, они едят лани, а тут они их обнимали.
And usually tigers, they eat deers, but in that case they hug them.
И Господь Чайтанья был способен на это.
And it was Lord Chaitanya.
Он был способен вдохновить животных, тигров, петь святые имена, Хари Кришна мантру.
He could make even animals to sing kirtan.
Но нам не обязательно подражать Господу Чайтанье, когда мы видим тигров.
But we couldn't do the same. We don't have to engage tigers in singing holy names.
В Африке много львов и тигров.
There are a lot of lions and tigers here in South Africa.
При виде льва у вас может не получиться вдохновить его петь святое имя.
If you faced with tiger, it could be difficult for you to engage him.
Собираться вместе, петь святые имена и проповедовать движение сознания Кришны.
Please use your opportunity to sing holy names and to preach Krishna consciousness everywhere.
У нас проповедническое движение.
We are in a preaching movement.
И Ачарья, основатель этого движения Шрила Прабхупада, обладал высшей степенью сострадания.
And Srila Prabhupada was the most compassion.
Как-то Шрила Прабхупада шел на прогулки с своими учениками.
Once Srila Prabhupada walked with his devotees.
И неожиданно для учеников из его глаз потекли слезы.
And suddenly he started crying.
Ученики не осмеливались сразу задать вопрос Шриле Прабхупаде о причине этих эмоций.
And they just wait for him when he finished.
Но через какое-то время один из его слуг спросил.
And then sometime one of the devotees asked him.
Сказал: Шрила Прабхупада, мне кажется, что вы находитесь в постоянном настроении Прохлада Махараджа.
He said, Srila Prabhupada, I think you are in Prahlada Maharaja's mood.
И Шрила Прабхупада сказал: да, ты прав.
And Srila Prabhupada agreed.
Мне невыносимо видеть то, как люди тяжело трудятся в этом мире и страдают, лишенные сознания Кришны.
It's hard for me to see how people in this material world, they working hard and even without Krishna consciousness.
Мы должны постараться помочь Шриле Прабхупаде, нашим духовным учителям, чтобы передать сознание Кришны в форме этого знания и святого имени несчастным людям в Кали-юге. Мы должны постараться помочь Шриле Прабхупаде, нашим духовным учителям.
We have to do the best to help Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual masters.
Передать людям, страдающим в этом мире, святое имя и полное знание.
To spread Krishna consciousness for everyone in this world. To spread spiritual knowledge and holy names for others.
Харе Кришна.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let's offer our thanks to His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj Ki. His Holiness Dakshaja Swami Maharaj ki. Thank you very much, Maharaj. We would like to listen more, but we have buses that are leaving back shortly to Durban, and therefore we need to serve all of the devotees prasadam. So we're going to have a 5-minute or so kirtan to end this program, and Rameshwar Prabhu and his team are organizing the prasadam serve out, and after that 5 minutes he will come and invite you to the line there in different groups. So let's have kirtan.